Today, I would like to talk to you about the fascinating story of the discovery and exploration of Antarctica. This southernmost continent on Earth is shrouded in mystery and intrigue, with its extreme isolation, harsh weather conditions, and unforgiving landscapes. But how was it discovered, and what is the history behind its exploration? The first recorded sighting of Antarctica is attributed to the Russian explorer, Fabian Gottlieb von Bellingshausen, who led the first Russian expedition to the Antarctic in 1819 to 1821. However, there is evidence to suggest that earlier sightings of the continent may have been made by other explorers. Over the next few decades, several expeditions were launched to explore the Antarctic, including the United States Exploring Expedition, led by Charles Wilkes, which discovered the Wilkes Land region of Antarctica in 1840. But it was the famous expeditions of Robert Falcon Scott and Ernest Shackleton that made significant contributions to the exploration and scientific study of Antarctica in the early 20th century. Their expeditions were not only driven by scientific curiosity but also by territorial ambitions. One of the most famous expeditions to Antarctica was the Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition, led by Ernest Shackleton in 1914. The expedition was an attempt to cross the Antarctic continent from one side to the other, but it ended in disaster when the ship, Endurance, became trapped in the ice and was eventually crushed. Despite the hardships faced by the crew, their story of survival has become a legend of human endurance and perseverance. The discovery and exploration of Antarctica is a fascinating story of human perseverance and scientific curiosity. From the first sightings by Russian and British explorers in the early 19th century, to the daring expeditions of the early 20th century, Antarctica has captured the imagination of people around the world. Today, Antarctica continues to be a place of scientific discovery and exploration, and is an important area for studying climate change and its impact on the planet. However, it is important to remember that Antarctica is also a fragile ecosystem that needs to be protected from human interference. The Antarctic Treaty, signed in 1959 by 12 countries, including the United States, the United Kingdom, and the Soviet Union, set aside Antarctica as a scientific preserve, to be used for peaceful purposes only. The treaty has since been signed by over 50 countries, and it has been instrumental in protecting Antarctica from commercial exploitation and military activity. In recent years, scientific research in Antarctica has revealed important information about climate change and its impact on the planet. Antarctica's ice sheets hold about 70% of the world's freshwater, and their melting could cause sea levels to rise by several meters, leading to catastrophic consequences for coastal cities around the world. Despite the significant efforts to protect Antarctica, there are still challenges that need to be addressed. One of the main challenges is the impact of human activity on the fragile ecosystem of the continent. Although the Antarctic Treaty has been successful in preventing commercial exploitation and military activity, there are still concerns about the impact of tourism, fishing, and scientific research on the environment. Tourism has become increasingly popular in Antarctica, and while it can provide valuable opportunities for people to experience the continent's natural beauty, it can also have negative impacts on the environment. The increase in tourism has led to concerns about pollution, disturbance of wildlife, and damage to the delicate ecosystem. Similarly, fishing in Antarctic waters can have a significant impact on the ecosystem. Overfishing can deplete fish populations and disrupt the food chain, affecting the entire ecosystem. This is particularly concerning given the important role that Antarctic krill, a key species in the food chain, plays in the ecosystem. Scientific research in Antarctica is essential for understanding the impact of climate change on the planet, but it also needs to be conducted in a way that minimizes its impact on the environment. Researchers need to be mindful of their activities and take steps to reduce their impact on the ecosystem. Efforts are being made to address these challenges and ensure the long-term protection of Antarctica. The Antarctic Treaty System has established various measures to protect the continent, such as the creation of protected areas, restrictions on fishing and tourism, and the establishment of environmental impact assessments for all activities on the continent. In addition, there is growing awareness among scientists, policymakers, and the public about the importance of protecting Antarctica and the need to take action to address climate change. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, has identified Antarctica as a key area for studying the impacts of climate change, and there are ongoing research efforts to better understand the processes affecting the continent's ice sheets and the potential consequences of their melting. There are also initiatives underway to promote sustainable tourism in Antarctica and to encourage responsible behavior among visitors. These include guidelines for visitors to minimize their impact on the environment, certification programs for tour operators, and efforts to raise awareness about the importance of protecting Antarctica. Ultimately, the protection of Antarctica depends on the cooperation and commitment of all nations and stakeholders involved in activities on the continent. By working together and taking proactive steps to minimize our impact on the environment, we can help to ensure that Antarctica remains a pristine wilderness and a valuable resource for scientific research for generations to come. In addition to protecting the environment of Antarctica, there is also a need to address the social and economic impacts of human activity on the continent. The people who live and work in Antarctica, including scientists, support staff, and other personnel, face unique challenges related to isolation, extreme weather conditions, and limited resources. Efforts are underway to improve living and working conditions in Antarctica and to support the well-being of the people who work there. This includes measures to improve communication and transportation infrastructure, increase access to medical care, and promote mental health and well-being. There are also ongoing discussions about the role of Antarctica in global governance and international relations. As the continent becomes increasingly important for scientific research and resource exploration, there is a need to ensure that the interests of all nations and stakeholders are represented and protected. Overall, the story of Antarctica is a complex one that involves scientific discovery, environmental protection, social and economic development, and international cooperation. While there are many challenges to address, there are also many opportunities for collaboration and innovation. By working together and taking a holistic approach to the management of Antarctica, we can ensure that this unique continent remains a valuable resource for humanity for many years to come. One area of growing importance in Antarctica is the study of the continent's microbiology and biodiversity. Recent research has revealed a surprising abundance and diversity of microbial life in Antarctica, despite the extreme conditions. These microorganisms play important roles in nutrient cycling and other ecosystem processes, and they may have potential applications in biotechnology, medicine, and other fields. Understanding the ecology and evolution of Antarctic microorganisms is thus an important area of research with broad implications for science and society. In addition to microbial research, there are also ongoing efforts to study the biodiversity of Antarctic plants and animals, many of which are unique to the continent. These studies are providing insights into the evolution and adaptation of life in extreme environments and the potential impacts of climate change on these species. Overall, the study of Antarctica's biology is an important component of scientific research on the continent, and it underscores the importance of preserving its fragile ecosystems. By understanding the ecology and evolution of Antarctic life, we can better appreciate the complexity and diversity of our planet's biosphere and the importance of protecting it for future generations. Another area of growing importance in Antarctica is the study of the continent's role in global climate and ocean systems. Antarctica plays a critical role in regulating the planet's climate and sea levels, and its ice sheets are sensitive indicators of changes in global temperature and atmospheric composition. In recent decades, scientists have documented significant changes in the Antarctic environment, including the melting of ice sheets and glaciers, changes in ocean currents and temperature, and shifts in the distributions of plant and animal species. These changes have important implications for global climate and ocean systems, as well as for the millions of people around the world who live in coastal regions and are vulnerable to sea level rise and other impacts of climate change. Efforts are underway to better understand the processes driving these changes and to develop strategies for mitigating their impacts. This includes the development of new technologies for monitoring and modeling Antarctic systems, as well as the implementation of policies and practices to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and promote sustainable development. As our understanding of Antarctica continues to evolve, it is becoming increasingly clear that the continent is a critical component of the global Earth system, and that its fate is closely linked to that of the planet as a whole. By working together to protect and study Antarctica, we can help to ensure a sustainable future for both the continent and the planet.